Hey, thank y'all for letting us in your house on Easter. And ooh, it is me and Shan's wish and all the pups that y'all have the happiest, most blessed Easter ever in all time. We do. I can remember all my life getting up early on that Sunday morning, and there was me and Dale and Randy and Cindy, and Mama would gather us all up, make sure we was clean. She made sure we washed behind our ears on that day, and we'd head off to church, and then everybody was duded up. But it was all about remembering really what the reason was, and that was a risen Savior. Now, it meant so much to have a family that believed in all these things, and we all gathered around the table and we blessed the food. And I think back on that now sometimes as when I was on a ranch so many years ago, and they'd call what they'd say family night. We'd been in about 4 weeks, and I can remember the boss man coming over and telling me, he said, now tomorrow night, Kent, he said, instead of feeding this crew of about 15, he said, they're gonna be about 38 or 40 people. He says, what we call family night. They'd usually pick a night during the stay that you was out there cooking on a ranch to where the wives could come, the kids could come, everybody could just join around the wagon. But as I seen all them gathered around that table and I told them we was gonna bless the food, it made me miss mine. It made me miss the opportunity of sitting around a table and being able to join hands. I can remember all the day before them cowboys had branded cattle all day long. Wasn't one of them deals to where they was gonna quit at 4. It was plumb till dark 30. And when we're talking about branding cattle, you have a piece of iron that's got an initial on the end of it, or a design or an emblem there, and it's burned in white hot embers or maybe a flame from an old propane torch to where it is glowing red hot. And when you place a brand on a yearling, you're marking it as ownership. And I always noticed that if people didn't brand just right to, or it's too light and you're going through the fall, it might, what we call, hair over. You couldn't see it anymore. Now folks, we're all branded by one thing or another. And what does that brand represent? Is it a brand of clothing that you wear? Is it something that you believe in? Is that what your brand stands for? There's going to be things that come along too in life that want to tarnish your brand, that want to make you think maybe it's not worth it. Well folks, I'm telling you for sure, the brand we get from Jesus Christ is not a mistake. And we need to wear it proudly. Always let it be seen. Don't let it be like some old long-haired yearling and the brand get covered over to where nobody can see it. Wear your brand proudly and believe in what it stands for. So many times when I grew up, I always heard them old timers say, riding for the brand. So folks, when you saddle a horse up and you're branded, who are you riding for? Fear and doubt will try to cover your mark at times, but if it's solid, your brand will outlast time and the elements. What's your brand and what do you stand for? As we're talking about cattle and branding and family night at the wagon, it sort of gets me to thinking about all the cattle that I sorted in life through a set of old pens just like this out here behind us, the dust. But I wrote a poem for a dear friend of mine so many years ago that passed away, and I'd just like to share it with y'all, and it's called The Last Sorting. We all watched and waited as the good Lord sorted stock. He was carefully picking and choosing as he stood on the solid rock. He was checking brands as they come by the pearly gates. He controlled their destiny, and it was he who held their fate. Some were worn and weary, others blind and lame, young and old alike, but they all cried out his name. The saints pushed each one down an alley made of gold. There they stood in silence as the tally book was told. Some were guided toward the light, while others were cast aside, never to be seen again. Into the darkness they would ride. Some brands were very visible, and others were hard to see. Then I began to wonder, had my life made the right mark on me? Had I helped my neighbor? Had I always been fair? Did I choose kindness and love over hate and despair? Was I branded with the blood that was shed for me? on that everlasting promise of life from the cross at Calvary. With each one that got closer, and finally it was my time, then I heard the Lord say, "Let him through. This one's one of mine." Well, me and Shan and all the pups, we wish you many, many happy Easter blessings on this day, but throughout the year that's coming up. Each and every one of you are a blessing to us, and we want you to know that because y'all are truly family. Remember in life as you go through it, and the horse that you're riding down the trail, whether it be a taxi, a bicycle, or actually a horse, you're riding for something. You're riding for a brand. What does your brand stand for? God bless you each and every one, and we hope you have a blessed day.